It's about Vince Gold Jr. frustrated more than anybody.
Cool. Mark, you do some thing? Fred, will you lead us in the pledge of allegiance? Sure. All right. Get this party started. All right, call this meeting to order. Director Miller, will you lead us in prayer, please?
Bow your heads and pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day you've given us, and we thank you for all the blessings that you give us every day. We ask that you watch over this meeting and guide our hearts and minds to make decisions that are in the best interest of our water system and its members. We ask that you watch over and protect our military men and women, our first responders, law enforcement, all that work to keep us safe every day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Director Teresa, pledge of allegiance.
Please follow me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have a quorum. Meeting announcements. This out there. All right, so audio and video recorders are in use. Please silence all cell phones. If anybody would like to address the board, there's a sign-up sheet in the back there or the front. First item of business is the approval of the minutes and transcripts. Has the board had a chance to look at the minutes and transcripts? Any questions or concerns?
Can you specify which minutes were?
You betcha. So it will be December 15th, 2020, Holly Navarro Water System regular meeting minutes. January 25th, 2021, special board meeting and redactions. January 25th, 2021, board reorganization meeting minutes.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. All right. Approval of memberships. So in December of 2020, we had 345 new memberships, 324 canceled memberships and 0 transfer. In January of 2021, we had 365 new memberships, 224 canceled memberships and 0 transfers. Do I have a motion to approve the memberships as requested?
So moved.
Yep.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next order of business is the review of the 2020 year-to-date unaudited financial statements. Dr. Peavy.
Gentlemen, you have included in your packet that unaudited financial statements. We haven't seen anything of concern to this point. We're meeting with the auditors that started today and to wrap this process up. In April, you will have the audited financials. But if we have anything that comes up during that time, or if you have any questions, we have Ms. Barber here, or we'll answer your questions in writing.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the 2020 year-to-date unaudited financial statements as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussions?
Why are we approving them unaudited? Is there a reason why we're doing that, or?
This
Just every month, we present the regular financial statements. They're all unaudited throughout the year, so.
So it's really just a change in name instead of just your,
Yes.
that was the December or the whole year-to-date.
Just to make it clear, they are year-end.
Okay. So
And we also-
we need to do that so that we can send them to the auditor, or we need to do that so that we can send them to the auditor, or?
No, the auditors have them. We're just showing you what we have today, just letting you know that they're unaudited.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is the Wellfield Protection Area Land Development Code change. Dr. Peavy.
Yes, the update that we have is on Tuesday, what I recall, we had both a political and a legal win for the Wellfield Protection Area. All the commissioners were on board to deny this. and on the 25th, they will vote it down and kill this at this point. I think that it was a good job by both Holly Navarre as well as our partners with Fairpoint. I think that the citizen drive on those commissioners, and even you gentlemen that spoke and was there in attendance, I think it showed great support. I think it protected, and I think at this point, we're just going back and look at what's the next step. We've met with one of the additional commissioners. We kind of have a roadmap going forward, so we'll continue to keep you updated as we progress.
Yes, sir.
At this point, it should be dead on the 25th.
Excellent. And I think Director Teresa?
Yeah, of course, I want to thank our staff, CEO, for all that they did to make this happen. And of course, we had some legal support and whatnot, but we've got some citizens in the audience tonight that I want to single out. Daryl Lynchard, Wallace, back there, I see her. Tom Beckman, Carmen, and of course, our local newspapers ran some wonderful articles to get people's attention about what was going on with regard to these protections. And we want to thank you all for your involvement in making this occur. And just, we all need to stay vigilant to the future. So thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause.
Exactly. And if we happen to have missed any group, there were many groups involved in this. They've done a wonderful job. Yes. Kyle, thank you so much, sir.
Kyle.
So it was a community effort, a united effort. And again, that's part of kind of our mission here as well, is to be the beacon of this united front in this area. So congratulations on the job well done. All right. Anybody else with any comments? Next item is the committee memberships. Dr. Peavy.
Yes. At current, there are two committees that are in place. One is the Personnel Committee. The other is the Golf Course Committee. Gentlemen, from our standpoint, as far as the Personnel Committee, I have a contract. You have charged me with managing and maintaining employees, and so there's not a need for a Personnel Committee. I would ask or request that the board in that committee. In regards to the Golf Course Committee, the board, as well as the last meeting, charged me that within 90 days to come back with a business plan and a way forward. So as I understand it, there's not a need for that committee as well. So I would ask that you close those down and close those out.
Motion to disband the Personnel and Golf Course Committee.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I would ask the board for consideration for a finance committee. And typically the way that it works, in my experience, is that the secretary treasurer is the overseer of that, Mr. Thiel. And then I would request that the board would give considerations to four of the following subcommittees. The first one would be the Eglin project. And I would ask that one of the board members chair that. The next would be the capital improvement projects subcommittee. The next one would be the bonds. And the last one would be the O&M budgets.
Okay. So we'll go one at a time here. So we need to have a motion to create the finance committee and name a chair. So
Motion to create the Finance Committee and name Bill Thiel as the chair of that.
I'll second that.
all right, we have a second. Any further discussions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, let's go with, if you guys are in agreement, then the subcommittees, we need a motion for the Eglin subcommittee and a chair.
I'll make a motion that you be the chair of the Eglin Committee.
Okay, that's a motion for Fred, Director Teresa?
No, you, the president.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, I think, Fred, did you have some interest in that?
oh, it's fine. Whichever you want to go.
You tell me.
I'm fine with being the chair of that committee,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go Fred.
a subcommittee.
I'll go Fred.
okay,
I
so
thought you had volunteered.
I'm going to be budgets. So I have a motion for the Eglin subcommittee with Director Teresa as chair.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay.
Cheap seats out there.
And then, let's see, I need a motion for capital improvement projects, and
I make a move to appoint Joe Campbell as a sub-chair for the capital improvement committee.
Nay? Sorry.
all right, I have a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. And I need a motion for bonds subcommittee. Madam Chair.
I'll make a motion for Mr. Miller to be the chairman of the bonds.
All right, have a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I would also ask that, as we had discussed in previous board meetings, that for these subcommittees, we would also look for outside expertise, whether it be from operational, historical perspective, financial, legal, whatever that is, so that we can make the best decision for the business. We'd
Absolutely.
be allowed to add those folks.
Absolutely. So we will be assigning other members to these committees as we see fit,
And there'll be a roster of that, those.
Yes, sir.
to pull them
And the
into,
board, so that the board would have that.
right, to pull in their expertise or historical value. Okay, I had what do I have? I had a motion for Director Miller for the bonds, right?
And a second.
And a second?
Yeah.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. And a motion for the budgets committee, subcommittee, and a chair, which I'm interested
I
in.
move that we create a budget subcommittee under the finance committee chaired by President Kennedy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, so that'll be our committees. Excellent job. Next item is the board vacancy vetting committee update. Vice President Miller.
Yeah, we have talked with a couple of interested parties in serving on the board, and we've gotten at least two that have said they would be willing and able to serve, and we have a couple of others that are possibilities. So I don't think we're prepared to take any action tonight, but by the March meeting, I believe we'll have someone ready to appoint.
Yes, yes. Okay, and again, out to everyone here and that's out there watching online, if you have an interest of serving, Vice President Miller will be happy to take your name, and then as a vetting committee, we will be appointing for the open position. So, anything else, sir?
No, that's all.
Okay. Great. Next item is the employee paid time off policy revisions. Dr. Beebe.
Yes, we had made a recommendation to the board based upon our work with our HR company Landrum and legal counsel to make some adjustments and revisions to the paid time off policy so that we would bring it up to date, what we call business standards. And it's in your packet on the amount of hours and the current outstanding liabilities, and then what the 5-year conservative payout savings would be over the next 5 years. So we had included that in your board, and I would ask the board to give consideration to both policy revisions as well as the payout.
All right, discussions?
Approval for that.
Discussions or motions? You're ready to go into motion? That's
I'll make the
fine.
motion to approve the revision of the policy of the paid time off as written.
Second.
Okay, now discussions?
Yeah, my discussion is I'm not in favor of it as written. It's a use it or lose it policy that to me would create problems with someone who runs out of PTO at the end of the year. I would like to see us go back to Landrum and ask them, you know, is there a way that rather than paying out the unused PTO, that the time could be rolled over, some portion of it could be rolled over. If someone's forced to use it or lose it, then they may use up all of their PTO, which encompasses vacation time, sick days, all of that rolled into one, and they get down to the last week of the year, they get sick, they're either not going to get paid or they're going to come to work sick, and I just see that as setting us up for a problem. I believe Landrum probably could recommend an amendment to this that would give an option that would allow employees to roll a certain portion of it, not get paid for it, but to roll a certain portion of it.
Okay. Mr. Peavy, I believe that you had mentioned that this is standard
It is.
from Landrum.
This is industry standard even for our industry, and this is typical with the revisions that you see, the standard business.
Right.
Well, I know lots of businesses where they do allow them to roll their PTO or a certain portion of it. And other businesses that allow them to get paid for it. So while this is, a policy that's used by a lot of companies, there are also a lot of companies that allow the employees to roll some of it. I just think as written, I don't think it's going to be well received by the employees. I think it's going to, just set people up to either lose their time or use it up before the end of the year. And then what happens if they get sick? What happens if they get COVID? Are they going to come to work with COVID because they're not going to get paid? I don't like it.
Dr. Peavy, I mean, you're an experienced CEO. What's your response to
Well, obviously, sir, there's various companies that operate differently. For the businesses that I've been associated with over the last 35 years, nobody pays to carry over because all you're doing is allowing them to continue to pay. It's behavior. And what we need to do is make sure we behave in a business manner, and I think this is in the best interest. And so I ask the board for.
I don't think you should pay it. I just think you should allow them to keep it and a certain portion of it, keep it and roll it over to the next year. That way they don't lose it and they can reserve a few days toward the end of the year in case they get
I
sick.
think it's, as an employee would act responsibly as the company would offer it, right? So you have the period of time that the employee has an idea that he can't use up all of his vacation or PTO time, that in case something happens, then he would reserve a portion of that, correct? So from a business standpoint, you just don't do it. And I haven't seen it done in my 35 years.
well, I'm interested in the scenario that Mr. Miller offered there, that I'm at the end of the year, I've used all my PTO, and I get sick, is the company just going to let them go out in Neverland? What are we going to do as a
If it
company?
was a case-by-case basis, I mean, the expectation is, as you heard from the managers, it happens very seldom. And so if it does, it would be a case-by-case basis, and we could have a discussion. If a year from now, then we see that it's an issue, then we can always go back and give consideration, because of course, our biggest asset is our employees. But from an employee standpoint, from a business standpoint, this is the way forward at this point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussions?
I just don't see any harm in seeing if Landrum would have another option that would allow some time to be rolled. So I'm going to vote against it.
Okay. All right. So the motion's on the table for approval as presented.
Correct.
All right. So we'll call for the vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. 4-1. Motion carries. Next item is the new legal counsel update. Dr. Peavy.
Yes, we sent an RFP after we received the letter of resignation from the previous representation. We received one. Clark Partington will Dunaway's group, based upon the rates that he submitted, based upon the scenarios that we've outlined here and the request that we made, I would recommend to the board approval of Clark Partington as legal representation.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept Clark Partington as legal counsel?
Motion to accept Clark Partington Hart as the legal counsel and to authorize Dallas to enter into their agreement.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussions? Okay. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Pension obligation payment. Dr. Baby.
Mr. President, board members, this is a pension obligation we've had for a period of time. what we have done in the past and what we've done this year is we've included a certain amount of money to address this matter. It has already been budgeted. And so the recommendation from the staff to the board is that we make this payment now so that we save on the interest that this money cost us. So the sooner we pay this, the better. And we would save approximately $25,000 to pay this right away in interest payments. We've accrued, and going forward, we'll continue to accrue on a monthly basis, so it's not a one-time hit or expense. So I'm just recommending to the board for approval, even though it's already budgeted. I'm just asking the board to explain to the board we're going to be spending this money.
Okay. Do I have a-
In the past, we've paid this in one lump sum and paid it early in the year because, we're not earning much money with it sitting in the bank, whereas this saves us a lot more money by going ahead and paying it early. So I move that we go ahead and make the payment.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And I would state that we will be spreading out the accrual across the remaining months so that it's not one big lump sum on the income statement, right? Okay. Any further discussions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Easement lease extension. Dr. Peavy.
Gentlemen, this is a 25-year easement extension with the Department of the Navy on which side of the Holly Field is it, Clinton?
It's on the west side.
On the west side.
Yes.
That we currently have in use of. This is something that came up, I guess, it's been 25 years since we paid it. It came up, we had paid the administrative fee, thinking that that was the total cost of the lease. That was just, again, an administrative fee that the Navy charges. Now we need to pay another $21,870 for the actual lease for the next 25 years. The reason I bring this to your attention is because I need to request an amendment to the budget in this amount. So I'll go and find that money throughout the budget to make this payment. We don't really have a choice. It's just a matter of where I get that from. Manage that process. So I would request approval to amend the 2021 budget for that amount, $21,870.
I'll make the motion to approve the amended budget for $21,870 for the easement lease extension.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
My discussion would just be, will you let us know where you take that out of the budget so we know? We don't have a category that's just like miscellaneous stuff.
We do. But what I need to do is make sure that, that miscellaneous is not something sort of pre-planned.
Right, okay.
So I'll come back to the board with where we're going to do.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, if no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Water system securities update. Dr. Peavy.
Yes, gentlemen, we know that over the last 7 or 8 days, there was an issue where a water system down in southwest Florida, the system was hacked or attempted hack. And so what we have done, and we've done this in the past, it wasn't just because of this that we came up with this. But what we did is we sat down with the management to make sure that what would we do if we came under attack, or how would we be proactive and responded to this. And what I have is, Mark, do you have your copy of the statement? No? You want to present this, or you want me to present? You can present, okay. I'll go through it. I'll just read real quickly how we do this. I'll also present the board a copy of this so that you have it, because I'm sure that your folks that put you in office are going to be asking the same questions. People like Ms. Carmen, Kyle, and the rest are going to be asking this. So we have a system called the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System that monitors both Fairpoint and Holly Navarro water systems, wells, and valves. Many of the points that are monitored can be used as indicators that has something that has malfunctioned regardless of the reason for the malfunction. And listed are under chlorine, residual chlorine, chlorine leaks, high level and low levels of chlorine. If the SCADA notes any changes in these systems that differs from the set points that we have predetermined as appropriate, the pumps will shut down and alarms will be sent. I will explain how these alarms are sent at the end of this memo. We also monitor pressure, high and low pressures. If SCADA recognizes anything within that preset positions are changed or modified in any way, it will call out and send an alarm and a notice. On the pH, the alkalinity, and whether it's high or low, low being acidic, SCADA recognizes these situations as well. if they're modified or set outside of this preset range, an alarm and the indicators are sent immediately to the system to go back to the normal parameters, and then alarms are notified so that persons respond to that immediately. Any intrusion, each of our wells are fenced and gates are locked with no person on site. We have intrusion alarms on any and all of those, and the alarms notify us when someone enters the well house. The intrusion alarm system will be installed on Fairpoint and on Fairpoint systems when the new BT SCADA system is installed, as was just approved by Fairpoint. And initial to the alarms, for each alarm situation, there are 5 people on the alarm list. When the alarm is activated, personnel will contact them in the following listed positions. First operator on duty or assigned. A second operator, so there's a backup for that. You have the water operations manager, Mr. Clinton Wells. You have the SCADA technician, works under Mr. Mark. You have the SCADA manager. You also, at the plant, you have 4 different sets of personnel that are notified if anything flows outside of the recommended preset conditions. So anything from an external intrusion, any type of hacking system, they're notified immediately through the SCADA systems, both individually as well as electronically. So, and this is not just new, and this is not because of that. This has been ongoing for over a year now. So we think that we're in the right position. We can continue to train and monitor these conditions as well as the personnel that are responsible. So we feel like that we're in the right direction. Our systems are protected, both the wells and our system itself. I will send this to each one of you so that you have a copy.
Great.
If you have any questions, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to know the line feeding equipment that I think Fairpoint is putting in. Is that electronically controlled as well, and is it?
It is. It can be either way, Mark, but our system now is all manual.
Right.
So our SCADA system basically just monitors all these points. You would actually have to go in the well house to make any adjustments.
What they did.
Well, I'm talking about the new automated equipment, though, that is going to be put in, I guess, or?
We monitor pH, not direct line addition.
Yeah.
So we monitor the result of the line addition. But what happened in South Florida can't happen here.
Yeah, it can't.
We don't. If someone were to break into our system, which is a discrete system anyway, there's no control. So in South Florida, they had control of that lie system. So an operator could see, oh, well, the pH is running a little low. I want to reduce the lie introduction. So he could actually go into the SCADA system and change the setting. So what they did when they broke in was they changed the setting to turn the lie feed pump all the way up. So, we can't do that here. If he were to receive a pH alarm too low or too high, someone would have to respond and go to the facility to make a manual adjustment of the system as opposed to being able to adjust it.
And if they went into the well because it's been solved with alarms, we would know that.
And my understanding in South Florida, they caught it right away before it,
I think it set off a separate pH alarm somewhere that notified another operator, and so he knew immediately that they had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing too, Mark. The BT SCADA is, we're monitored 24/7. There's a person on call tonight. And even after hours, part of their being on call is every 3 hours, they go through and they look at everything that we have. And it sounds like a lot, but really with the screens and, they're able to do that. During the day, there is somebody almost they're hourly checking everything because that's the thing, we're troubleshooting. But the alarms, we've never not had one operate, And then the pressure alarms, it will even shut the wells off. And the only way that they can be reset is if you physically go back to the office, assess, you'll call the operator and they've already had the alarm, they're already there. Can I reset it? So he's got his eyes on it, and we don't reset it unless the operator says you can
All right.
reset it.
Director Campbell?
So what I hear you saying is there's no remote control of that.
Correct.
So Torrance, sorry. So from the cyber sec, everything external is 2-factor authentication, so you some of that is taken out?
Yes, they log in through a firewall, through a VPN.
Right, but a two-factor. There's something other than just their username, password. There's a PIN or there's a token or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Norm, I think we only have 3 people in this entire company that have administrative control right now.
I believe so, yes.
And they're, you know,
Okay. So
So are we saying that SCADA itself is fairly protected? I mean, that's the central system that's monitoring all this.
right.
I mean,
But
it's secure and we're not worried about it?
Fred, the important part about this is that it's, we see it, well, usually the operator sees it first, and he'll call and say, do you see any, it's just some problem that we don't see. And they'll usually, they have eyes on, they're there, they'll have, they're there. And we'll say, no, everything's clear, and they'll run, even while they're standing there, they'll reset, and then we have to reset. And then while he's standing there, we monitor it.
As well, gentlemen, a lot of us, the managers at least, have camera systems throughout. You see the security systems at all the plants and sites. So if we get an alarm, first thing they do is go to the camera, and they can see exactly what's going on there so that we know with high definition who's out there, what they're doing. If it's not somebody we recognize or a truck, what have you, we dispatch somebody immediately, but we also have control.
And is that run off of SCADA, those cameras?
No, that's
Okay.
That's
independent and state.
So my question was, SCADA is a central
supervisor
vehicle
control and data acquisition.
that allows us to see all this. Is it vulnerable to attack where it would go? Now, we wouldn't have any of that data without an operator on site.
If we lose power, if we lose power, we have 12 to 20 hour battery backups on it.
Okay?
If they would disarm it, so if they know that, and they clip the battery leads, and it goes offline, then the SCADA tech
Get notified.
gets notified, and we know it's offline, and somebody will go immediately.
So the answer is you're
There's
perfectly.
nothing online that's foolproof, Fred. I think to answer your
Yeah.
question, sooner
I
or later,
understand.
someone can figure out how to get in any system. The answer is, what can they do to you if they get in there?
Fred, if they got into our well site, Fred, there's nothing they could do that would affect you, even if it was overnight. Let's say they got in tonight, and we didn't know it until in the morning. There's nothing that they could do at that well site that would adversely affect the water to where it would be, as far as adjusting our chemical feed rates.
So you say I can continue to sleep like a baby?
Yes, you can.
We're holding.
Yeah, and as you
It's not a
can,
joke.
yeah. So as you can tell, staff is using this again to just validate the procedures that they've already in place to confirm and make sure that, water and wastewater are a top priority. So, all right, thank you. That puts us to Hidden Creek. So we're going to be the 2020 year-to-date unaudited financial statements. Ms. Callen.
So for the 2020 year end, this is unaudited, the auditors are looking at it right now. Revenue was $1,709,576. Expenses of $1,551,184. Leads us to a course operating income of $158,391. Couple key points on this is we were closed 2 months due to COVID and to Hurricane Sally. So with the 2 months closed with no revenue, we still had all of our expenses, we still made a profit. Good news to me.
They're going around and around about this a lot. We'll worry about it. I'll bring it up in another issue as far as, there's still depreciation.
Oh, absolutely. I was just asking for to report the pre-depreciation.
Yeah, okay,
After
gotcha.
depreciation, we had a negative 114,479. And again, that's with 2 months of no revenue.
Any questions? So I guess, how do we do in terms of, I guess, how badly was this year in terms of weather, COVID, in terms of profitability, I guess is the question.
20, let me see 2020 budget, we were budgeting for a negative 272,088, and we came in at a negative 114. So we came in below budget.
Okay. And ultimately, I'm just looking at like some of the areas of where we were hit. I know we were hit with COVID. That's always fun and exciting. And then some bad weather.
And never before have we had to close for COVID for almost a whole month. And then after the hurricane, we were closed 8 days completely. And then we could only open up 9 holes for another week and a half.
Right. So we,
And even after that, for over almost 2 months, hole number 8 was only at par 4 or par 3 versus par 5. So there was implications for several months due to weather.
gotcha. Go ahead.
No, I just, to me, that, it's not that, it's looking at the paid rounds is down like 7,000 from the previous year.
Yeah.
And I guess my question really would be, I mean, Sally was 2 weeks, I mean, you mentioned a total of maybe 8 weeks. Is that the difference? I mean,
Also, our memberships are way up, so we turned a lot of our paid
right,
into
but the
membership.
difference between the two is still 6,200 rounds less this year than last year. Is that because
The
of
single
a
cards,
pay
a lot of it.
restructure, or what is that?
A lot of it, I would say, was COVID, because we had to do single cards. We would run out of cards because they would all be out and come back and have to recharge. So we had to limit the round of golf per day for 5 months.
But your cart rounds were still down, well, there's a difference of 1,000 there, so, okay, maybe I'm not quite understanding the difference.
Any other, do you want to, on the rounds? I mean, again, ultimately, the question is going to be about rounds. I think, the board's going to start looking at this a lot harder as far as terms of rounds and profitability. So, okay. Any other questions?
What current COVID limitations are you operating under?
Our current limitations are we do not have water or rates on the course. If somebody asks to ride by themselves, there is a $10 charge for extra to ride in your own cart. That's pretty much all, other than extra cleaning, extra sanitizing.
Is it open back up to tournaments and events?
We are.
What about the clubhouse? Any opportunities to, open that up to?
We're open for meetings, smaller meetings right now. As far as opening for big events, we're not set up for it. We don't have staff. We don't have linens. We don't have our kitchen set up right now. We're kind of waiting to see what happens. And then,
And we are too. We're
yeah,
wanting-
hopefully we can get our liquor license up there, get the bar open back up
Okay.
as soon as possible.
Okay.
Is there a nominal fee for those meetings, or are those,
It depends on if we have to have staff present.
Right.
Where we have to pay staff, then we do charge, but if it's during working hours and it can fit in a lounge, we don't have a problem with it. They just have to call us and set it up.
Do you know how many tournaments any idea how many tournaments you lost because of COVID this last year?
I don't have that number right now.
In the December 20, there's other income. I was just wondering what other income was.
December 20, we did not receive other income. The 24,000,
Yeah, 24, well, the total, the actual year-to-date, what is other income?
other income would be the rent the lease we received,
Ah, yes, got it. Okay,
and we sold one tractor for 15,000.
got it. Okay.
We're getting lots of questions because we haven't seen you in probably 10 minutes, right?
I know.
It's good to see you again.
Exactly.
Nice to be back.
Yeah.
All right, any further questions? All right.
Do we have a motion?
No, we do not. Would you like to make one?
I move that we approve the 2020 year-to-date unaudited financial statement for the club at Hidden Creek.
Anybody second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Scott. Cell update, Dr. Peavy.
Yes, gentlemen, at the last board meeting, the board gave me instructions to take the next 90 days to make the best decision on behalf of that asset and in regards to the company itself and what would be the best course of action. We're looking at all options. We still have one of the original ITN as far as one of those bidders. So we're having a discussion with all areas and all thought process. We have several businesses that we're looking at, so it gives us every avenue to take the best course of action on this asset. From today, I still have 60 days to finish that. We will go through those iterations, including this week, and then I'll come back to the board, continue to give you updates on the progress and any discussions in those parties that we would have with, and then ultimately at the end of the next 60 days, I'll make a business recommendation on what is in the best interest of that asset and the company itself.
Okay.
Which is what the board asked me to do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anything?
Nope.
All right. Mr. Phillips, engineering.
For the two new board members, behind the engineering tab in your book are the reports that the board gets every month. The first page of that is essentially a summary of some of the permit limits that we operate under in terms of capacity and where we are regarding those limits. I usually don't go over it in detail unless there's something wrong. Nothing's been wrong in quite a while. So I has been a problem for us in the past, as you probably both well know. So there's a pretty significant summary on inflow and infiltration there. If you have any questions, come ask. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and tell you exactly what's going on there. The next, 2 pages are a summary of the development projects that are occurring in the franchise area, and those are development projects by third parties, not us. Just tells you, gives you kind of a snapshot of what's going on each year, ongoing in the franchise area, how many projects, what the type is, what they mean to us in terms of impact fees. And then after that, there are a couple of reports pages on the in-house projects. Colleen of our does do construction of primarily low-pressure sewer. We have a program where we help single and multi-development houses that don't fall under subdivision get sewer to everyone's benefit. And those 2 sheets are a summary of the projects that Clinton has ongoing, where we are, what they mean to us in terms of finances, who's paying for what in terms of the developer's contribution, and just a schedule of when we expect them to be done. So again, all that being said, if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to entertain them now or later in detail. And with that, I'll go to Fred's primary interest, which is the Eglin project, which is so far going well. We'll do an update on the status and the time frame, all that. I think me and Clinton and Mark and Dallas and whoever else, Chris, was copied, that they said in an email the other day, they said they were on schedule. You probably noticed they're surveying the world in a couple of different places. But they are due to have a meeting with us in the next couple of days for a status update. So far, so good.
So we will let you know.
When you know, the board would like to know that probably.
But the good news is obviously we're at least on your schedule and not behind your schedule.
Both, so far, both in design, construction, and we're ahead of the curve on the icon.
Any questions, concerns, comments? All right. Do we have any old business that needs to be discussed before the board? In terms of new business, do we have any new business to be discussed before the board? And I bring up just the new business is to let you know that the board we haven't decided if everybody can attend yet, but Dr. Peavy has set up a board training for us. It'll be with certification or certified board trainer and legal So we're shooting for March the 19th is what we're going to do. So we expect them to get better, and you should expect us to get better. So, all right, so we're on to member forum. I don't know, yep, did anybody sign in? And then if you go and speak, name, address, let us know what you think.
Good evening, new board. Carmen Reynolds, one of your members from Navarre. I'll try to be quick. First of all, I see that there's a board vacancy, and it wasn't stated who we're losing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, Mr. Grant stepped down. Mr. Grant Summers.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just wanted to relay some of the comments that I have heard. With regard to the board vacancies that were just elected, not a lot of people heard that those vacancies were coming up. I was one of them. Otherwise, I would have put my name in. With regard to this new vacancy, a lot of people didn't know about that either, and I really think you're overlooking some really hard workers when you don't announce this. And I'm not the only one that has never been approached, and I consider myself a very hard and diligent worker. So I'll leave it with that. I know you all had identified about 19 things you wanted to do last year, and one of them was to improve the reputation of High Navarre Water System. You wanted to improve the morale of the personnel, and I'm making a little placeholder here for the morale of your members that would like to participate and participate fully. Do I have permission to follow up with the fire department to find out whether they have been successful in applying for any grants for this hydrant and water line expansion?
I don't see why not. Again, you know, what you're driving is a good thing, but that's also, you know, not something that we can dictate to you.
Right, I was just before I opened that box, I wanted to make sure I had the approval of the board to make that phone call.
Well, go ahead.
You know, Will Goulet had been kind of a board member liaison with Carmen on that, and I think it would be good, you know, if we had a liaison with Carmen on that fire hydrant issue, just so that it might help convey information back and forth.
Sure.
I think that's a CEO issue.
That's true. I mean,
And I appreciate we need to just have those conversations, but I think the CEO ought to be the point of contact for any of that.
how do you feel about that?
Well, in fact, at the last board meeting that Director Goulet was here at that time, he introduced me to the new fire chief, and I've had discussions with that fire chief. In fact, he was at a wastewater treatment plant 2 weeks ago where they saw the plan because they hadn't seen it, and they had discussions. So we were going to continue. Now, I didn't realize at that point or at that time that Ms. Carmen was working on that as well, but I can certainly.
Right. Go ahead.
Well, just so I understand, the issue is the funding goes through the fire department. We would just do the install of the hydrants and the extensions, all right?
Truthfully, we've not agreed to anything.
No, but it's not like we would fund any hydrant extensions. That's for the fire department to,
That would be something.
under their emergency management.
Yeah.
On the water system.
Again, Ms. Reynolds,
I can work with Dr. Peavy on that.
or in other words, you know, it's better to work with staff than, you know, having a board member get involved. I mean, again, the board, we need to stay up here, and staff needs to handle.
There was some discussion about community development block grants, and the water system might take a piece of that. and break it into pieces. While they go for larger grants, there are certain areas that they've identified that could possibly be eligible under the lower income area for CDBG.
Yes, we actually I've had that discussion with Clinton Wells, and so what I will do is, at this point, I'll get back with Clinton, and then he can work with Ms. Carmen to start to see where we go from this point.
Yeah, does that work? Yeah.
I move quickly to system security. Thank you, Dr. Davis. System security, they mentioned in all of these cantankerous meetings we've been through that there's a 2-hour response time if any of those wells might be contaminated from the industrial uses of the dirt pits. Have we had any simulation exercises with regard to that to see just how we react and the folks that we depend on to respond in 2 hours?
That's a good question.
I don't think that we have had any of those occur at this point, because our on-call people, that would be the first point of contact for any alarms or anything out of the normal parameters, have a 30-minute response time. If they're contacted or called, they must respond within 30 minutes from the point of contact. It's not 2 hours. Our response time is 30 minutes.
And I'm just asking, are we having any exercises to that effect to make sure that we've been through it before and the event does occur?
I'll have to follow up on that. I can't give you a response. We'll find out.
Just throwing out some ideas here to protect ourselves. It's the military and me. Mr. Wells, one of the big things I couldn't mention at that public meeting last week was the fact that the Department of Homeland Security was very concerned about incendiary devices that blow up the wells. If that were to happen, how quickly can someone be dispatched if they see someone going in there or attaching C4? How fast can we get up there?
Well, fortunately, we have somebody just right there in the well field, so.
And ultimately, again, Ms. Reynolds, if you're going to go through scenarios, and I love them, but I would prefer that maybe you submit the questions so that, I just don't want to put staff right here.
On the spot, I'm just throwing out some questions, and the next to the last one I have, I know that you said that the systems are not connected to the internet. Also, they try to break into businesses' databases, and I just leave that one on the table. And finally, board and the CEO board, if you have any enhancement ideas, remember that I found that nonprofit Department of Homeland Security grant for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds.
Ms. Reynolds, you mentioned you were interested in being appointed to the board. Did you not want to run during the election?
The past election,
Yes, ma'am.
I was not informed until it had been closed out. I was asking, and it had already closed out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barber? Anybody else? Oh, that's great. Mr. Beckman? You got 30 seconds, sir.
I need 10 or 15. Apologize for not signing up. And let me share some ideas if I may. We did have an incredible victory on Tuesday. So in true Department of Defense style, an after-action review might be appropriate. It was 2 months ago in your regular December meeting where we talked about the strategy to defeat the pending change to the comprehensive plan. It worked like a charm. Sean Ward had told me personally that the 2 primary entities that would go through reviewing the comprehensive plan change, that were the real meat on the bone of people we'd have to sit up and pay attention, they would have to sit up and pay attention to. You and your fellow water authorities were able to get the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and Northwest Florida's Water Management District to both give a troubling response to the county like, we don't know what you're doing. And that was very effective in being able to derail the effort. And that was, as you mentioned, Mike, the effort of a consensus of a lot of people. It was marvelous. Now, the work's far from done because we had a victory, but it's a victory in a battle, not a victory in the war. There is a war going on for those resources up there. And the guys who are warring with us are motivated by money, period. It's about their money and our water. So there's opportunities I think we should not miss to harvest and preserve what's happened so far, like all the public interest that has been garnered against the action is out there to be harvested in the form of several petitions that need to be grabbed a hold of and archived and preserved for the inevitable. Here, Board of County Commissioners, here's the evidence of all those people who weren't able to be in the room on Tuesday who are against this. Additionally, those guys will come back with a plan. We've already seen the shake and bake plan by Commissioner Calkins, has a catchy name for preserve the water and save the jobs, and he ran up to Northwest Florida Water Management District and got somebody to sign off on a one-pager that has very little substance and a lot of touchy-feely things, except for some of the aquifer structural components that are in there in terms of where impervious layers are located in the aquifer. I can assure you that Calkins did not write that technical element of that report. So there's a mystery person out there running around consulting with Calkins, whether it's the members of Northwest Florida Water Management District or somebody else. We need to identify the players. That's the G2 work that has to happen. That's the intelligence work we have to have. Further, when it comes down to really rolling up our sleeves and doing the science, they can't do the science. I'm not even sure you guys could do the science. You would follow out probably to hydrological authorities and geologists to do it, but they certainly can't do it. And whenever it's going to be done, for whatever change might happen, it's going to cost money. And they've already been alerted to the fact that where's that money going to come from? Why are we investing in a change to an infrastructure that we've already vetted 10 years ago and proved was effective? But that work doesn't stop there, of course, either. I think your vision for looking across the event horizon and being one step ahead of these guys, and some other folks who might come up with ideas, would be vital to our future. Where will the future wells go? What will be the growth projections for the people who would have to draw on those wells? What will be the required infrastructure and the pricing for well growth, responsible well growth, that obviously would take a look at putting the wells out of harm's way with all the other heavy industrial work that's going on up there. I can't for the life of me understand how we thought they could commingle, but you look at the GIS maps and they're in each other's backyard. So a future look ought to look in the strategic direction of get the dirt harvesting away from the water harvesting to the best of our ability, and then we really are coming up with a productive solution. Bob Cole, in his little speech on Tuesday, made a profound difference in what was going on. He was the champion for a single answer, take it or leave it, and he talked in very conciliatory terms. So apparently, politically, they've gotten the answer up there, and that's been through efforts like from people like Carmen and the people that she motivates. There sits the most aggressive community activist that I know of I've ever seen in my life. It would be a terrible waste of her time for her to get out of that seat and go up and take one of those. So I don't vote against you being on the line board, Carmen. You do too much good hard work and too much harm sitting right where you are. Anyway, so we got to go from one battle victory to a strategy for the victory down the road, because that's what Wright said, and he said it appropriately. He was quoting the newspaper correctly. Hey, we don't have a 300 to 400 to 500 year answer. It's not an immediate response to an immediate threat. And, So that's my input to an after-action review of a very successful, we have a right to go celebrate a little bit, but then we have to get, as you've said to me, now we have to turn around and get right back to work. One more point that's key, and you have a lot of the data. There are pieces of that welfare protection area up there that are being defiled as we speak with code violations and inappropriate actions, and those need to be chronicled and properly researched and then itemized and then handed to the county commissioners and Sean Ward for his enforcement, which constitutes 2 people. So code enforcement in Santa Rosa County is non-existent, but itemizing where improper actions by people inside the welfare protection area might be able to focus attention on putting a halt to the little creeping decay of our protections over that water. That'll definitely be a strategy on the part of those guys up there. We've been told that if he can't expand the acreage of the size of his hole, he'll dig deeper. Now, who of us who know how aquifers behave, a big pool of water underground, but with a digging under an aquifer and literally mucking around in there is going to be a good idea for our aquifer. And I have no idea whether or not that's supported by the comprehensive plan or the land development code at all. That's got to be looked at too. So anyway, that's my take on putting a bow around the box that we were given to us on Tuesday. Now, of course, on the 25th, we got to be at the meeting and make sure they do what they said they would. I think it would be political suicide if they moved otherwise, but we'll chronicle that when it happens. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Bateman. And 3 things. 1, good 30 seconds. Good. 2, we will be representing up there as well. So, we drew a line in the sand. And 3, we also want to make, I want to be able to thank our partners as well, Midway and Gulf Breeze. I mean, we all came together, and then again, all of you out there. I mean, we said, nope, this is where we're going to hold the line, and everybody did. Oh, and then the county commissioners, we got to thank the county commissioners. I mean, okay, so obviously Peach and Colton were right. They both they were against it the entire time. But then the others also came around as they saw the benefit of what our citizens wanted. So thank you again. And with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Oh, Albert.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Reynolds.
Carmen, you got the rest of my
Yes, Carmen Reynolds, the board members and Dr. Petty and staff. I just wanted to put on the record, I prepared what Commissioner Peach said was a 26-page background paper for he and Commissioner White. It had all of the defining actions within it that Mr. Beckman referred to, and Commissioner Peach said he was having copies of that made for the other commissioners. So they have all of that before them in that bullet background, just so you know for follow-up, and I can send it to whomever you would like me to send it to.
Yes, ma'am, I'll get with you after this.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much. Yeah, come ahead. They did good. All right, any further discussion? All right, we have a motion?
Second.
All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.